Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second round of the Banter series. Let's see whether Nils is there. I'm not hearing my own sound in this. Okay. We're both here. So I'm playing my good friend Nils Grandelius, Sweden's top player, Scandinavia's number 2. And I know him very well, and it's a bit of a problem for me to know what openings to play, as this against another Swedish player, Joni Hector, but on the other side of the board. Unfortunately, this hasn't caught me by surprise. Yeah, my main problem is that I asked Nils what I should play. So he always knows far more than me. So again, like yesterday, it'll be a case of me trying to survive the opening and see what happens. Try and take any opportunities he gives me later on in the game. So yesterday, at least, I managed to squeeze past another strong Scandinavian player, Jesper Tubo. It started well, and then I was definitely creaking. I managed to just about get over the line. Here I'm probably just a little bit worse. I've got this IQP, and I'm not exactly sure what my compensation for it is. Let's try and exchange these knights. Yeah, I would like the games today to be a bit more interesting than my whites yesterday, at least. They were a few quick draws, and okay, once I had a 2-0 lead, that wasn't the end of the world, even when he whistled it down. But still, maybe it wasn't the style of chess that I enjoyed playing, and hopefully you guys like watching. But Nils is a very tough opponent, so he's probably not going to give me that many opportunities to get that type of position. I'm not sure if I want this bishop developed on e3 or b2. Or otherwise, if I go bishop e3 immediately, knight c4 was annoying. So I really had to fianchetto anyway. So yeah, me and Nils have played quite a lot, and our ratings are almost the same. We keep leapfrogging and dropping down below each other, but we're basically the same strength, I think. Second g takes, I guess, is going f5. So let's try bishop takes instead. I would have liked to get rid of my IQP, but I think he's getting some dangerous initiative anyway. So c3, bishop e6. Bishop. To have a good way to develop. Need to be very careful not to drop a pawn. Okay, I'll accept to lose the pawn. So I'll play bishop e6. So you can take on d5 and take on c3. But then I'm hoping to play rook c1, and at least I get some activity with my pieces, which in blitz should be worth a pawn. I need to be a bit careful about the clock. Unlike last year, or was it earlier this year? I think it was last year. The previous Banter Blitz Cup, we have increment this time, so it's not the end of the world, dropping down to 20 seconds. But still, I would like to avoid it. It makes it much easier to blunder when you have no time. I don't think I should be worse now. But I have to watch out for some tricks on my e3 bishop. So I'm take on d5 and take on h2. Am I worried about that? Potentially. So, okay, I'll just drop back. Not quite sure what I want to do on the queen side. I want to break somehow. Maybe with b4 and try and get this open c5. Otherwise I play c4 and then my knight is at least well supported on d5, but I give away another outpost on d4. At the moment, outposts are a bit about even. I've got d5, he's got e5. Maybe a4, a5 as a way of trying to attack his pawn chain. And we can type one on b3, so it's double-edged, but I want some activity. I can always play c4, so my pawn on b3 shouldn't be too vulnerable. Trying to angle some tricks as well. If he plays knight f4, for example, I can consider knight e7 check because his rook is hanging. I don't know if that probably is something I want. Try my knight into c6 and it's very complicated. He gets his knight into d3. He cuts any of that out. Okay, time to try and open up the c file. And open up the bishop. ba b5 is interesting to try and get past pawn, but probably it's too ambitious. Quite important here, he can't play rook a6 to defend the pawn because I have knight e7 check. So he defends this way. Let's try and hassle his pieces a bit. I guess my plan is just to win the pawn on a7 and queen. Very simple, but not so simple to implement. If king f7, do I want to exchange some pieces by taking on e6? He doesn't allow it anyway. Okay, let's attack this pawn. Next job is to activate my rook from d1. If he plays f5, I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, let's get I was wondering about bishop g4 as well, which he stopped me doing again. Can I go to a4? He's not winning a pawn because of the pin, but maybe this pin is annoying. What's going on? Bishop a4, he'll take my knight, and I can't recapture. I could take on b8, but we're both getting short on time. It's a bit of a mess. That exchange definitely helped him because I'm not going to win this pawn on a7 now. He's got a very nice bishop. My pieces feel a bit loose. I'm going to have to be careful. Try and bring this rook back into the game from a6. Run away. Just really try and find some spaces. Don't lose material. Very tricky position with no time. Try and get my king back. Okay, the rooks come off. If he takes, I think it should be a draw. He's got a bishop pair, but I'm hoping his best is he might take my knight at some point to go into some opposite color bishop endgame. But that looks very drawish. I could have started knight c6 to kind of probably force a draw. Okay, that's more or less a draw offer. He can be a pawn up in the opposite color bishop endgame, but that's shouldn't be anything for me to worry about. But he's trying to use his bishops. No question, how ambitious is he? No, okay. Now there's nothing for either of us to play for. So a draw in the first game. I think I had some, the opening definitely went wrong, but then I had some chances and then it went wrong again. So overall, I think I'm happy with my draw. And let's hope there are no technical issues this time. I've clicked on the right link. Slightly worrying we don't have a move from Nils yet. There we go. D4. In all his recent blitz, he's been just playing knight f3, g3. This line. Now, how shall I react? So that was e4. I had an interesting game against Jeffrey Chong, who has this as a pet opening with knight d2 in the last round of Isle of Man, the last year that it was a tournament in its own right rather than the Grand Swiss. Now, how am I supposed to do this? I can break with c5 or play for e5 with my knight on d7 or my knight on c6. Let's go knight c6. That's some sort of strange hybrid now between a King's Indian and a Perk. Because he's managed to get e4 and d4. But had to commit his knight to d2, which is a bit more passive than normal. I really want him to play d5, I think, so then I can play proper King's Indian stuff with f5. But then open center, it's not very convincing to play f5 because Black's king is normally the more vulnerable. So he's waiting. I guess he's going to go h3 next. Having said what I just said, f5 would be a bit strange. Do I change tack and take on d4 and play d5, or even d5 immediately? If I play d5, take, oh, let's try it. The limit of my analysis there. I'm hoping that ED queen takes c4 isn't the end of the world for me, because at least my bishop is going to become strong on g7. It's probably the evaluation of the game, evaluation of position swings on whether his knight on b3 is good, whether it's coming to c5, or if it's just defending d4, or if it's just a bit misplaced. And likewise, my knight on h5. Will I be able to jump into f4 and mate him, or is the knight just loose? Okay. To take or not to take? Always a question. So if I take, queen takes, take on d4 and take on e4, I'm not able to grab a pawn at the end, but I'm a bit worried about how loose my position is. If I come to e6, he's going to jump in with knight c5. Kind of get away with just retreating. ED takes c4, retreat again, d5. All my pieces are going backwards. I'm not very happy. So do I try and be ambitious? Can I play f5 here? We'll find out. Obviously I can play it, but is it any good? If I did get a pawn to e4, any cost. I'm guessing he'll drop back to d1. Now, another choice. If I take on d5, followed by trying to push the f pawn, or I take on d3, followed by pushing the f pawn, which is more ambitious but much riskier. So take on d3, take f4, bishop back to c1. I'm going to be pawn down. I'm probably not mating him, so let's just take this. I would much prefer to have got rid of this bishop on d3 though, because it's going to be hard to steamroll him with a weak pawn in e4. But I guess I still have to try. Although, I'm very... I wish I could take back that move. I think I should have played king h8 first. I'm very worried about the bishop. Pinning my queen into immediately, but then I'm just attacking the queen. So probably bishop c1, when I don't think I have time to defend this pawn in e4. Rook e8 was my idea, but knight c5 renews the threat and threatens the bishop. So time to go all in. Take, I'll go f3, take, queen g5, check. I'm guessing at least a couple of checks. So he ignores it. Can I do something on d4 now, though? Or is he going to use the pin? No. So if I go knight takes d4, he still has bishop b3. Okay, we'll start by taking this. So knight d4, bishop b3 is not good. f3, bishop b3, I don't see a kill. So let's get my queen out of there so that I don't lose the queen. I might lose the exchange. Ooh. Professional move. Killing my attack by exchanging queens. Possibly king h8 then was a better way of doing it. 38 seconds against 40. In a complicated position. He should be better with his bishop pair. I'm going to be relying on some tricks here, I think. So I'm going to offer the exchange here. Knight e6, I'll go h5. I'm not. Oh no, knight e6, I can play rook e8. I'm not yet losing the exchange. Because his rook is hanging. Do I want to play h5 first? Take g4 check. He just runs back. So. Yeah, my light squares are very vulnerable. If bishop b3, maybe knight a5. So now he's starting to take on c7. And on g5, come to that. I have to sack something. I guess I sack the c7 pawn. Now I'm threatening some knight to d4 in theory, but how I manage it, I have no idea. Knight a5 will take and come in. Yeah, extremely bad position. So he's threatening this pawn now. A very sad way of defending my pawn. Now it's just about finding moves that make it a little bit tough for him. Pawn on g5 I don't think is quite hanging. Okay, knight f6 next move. Have a threat, which I can still block with rook e1. b5 is just a completely random move, trying to confuse him. Let's go forward. You can't take on a7 because of knight e4 check. I need activity desperately here to try and stop those pawns rolling forever. My hope here doesn't even win the bishop. Yes, dead, lost. But knights are sometimes tricky beasts. Just keep moving it. It probably is far more likely to be trapped than anything else. Yeah, we're very close to being mated as well. Retreat. I'm running out of checks and hope. So pawn to march forward. Last trick. If he queens, I can take his rook with check. But yeah, I think that's it. Well played. I think f4 was far too ambitious there. I lost control. And then it became a complete mess, but the fact he had a light square bishop, maybe I needed to take his bishop and just hope my squares were too vulnerable. To try and move order a little bit, but it'll come to the same thing. I needed an idea here, really. I didn't. I felt like I was just a bit worse at the opening last time. So f5 things are possible, but I did revisit my old notes about this line, but I can't really remember how I was intending on making it playable. I don't think g3 was it. But kind of the hope is it looks really unambitious, but if you watched any of my games yesterday, I've tried a similar structure with my pawn on c3 already. And what it's hoping to eventually make use of this square on d5. So I've got an outpost and he hasn't. But the problem is he's got a bit of an initiative that stops me being able to put my pieces there properly. Okay, let's try f5. A different structure. I've had enough time. I'd be happy with my position. But he keeps jumping in before I can put my piece on good squares. Okay. That way. Maybe that way is stronger. I was only thinking about CD and playing down the c file. But now he's got a square of his own. Can I try knight d5? So if he takes on d5, I want to take on g4, and then at least I've got the bishops. If he takes on d1, I'll take on f6. But my pawn on e4 is a bit vulnerable. Otherwise, I'd be quite happy. I have to give up on e4 again soon. I'm expecting to take on d1. There we go. So I need my king to d3 and rook to e1 faster than he can get. Is he going to go h5, h4? Is that also problematic? Maybe. Okay, let's try c3. I need this rook on a1 to get in the game. Rook e1 was my original idea, but I was worried about h5, h4 simply. So if he doesn't do anything quickly, I'm going to go king c2, bishop somewhere along this diagonal, h6, f4, get the rook out. Attacks my pawn. I'm guessing he's going to play h5 now. It feels like my development is too slow. So rook e2, h4, g4, h3 looks too scary for me. And bishop f4, swap rook g8 also looks too scary for me. 2 lines that are too scary is not a good sign. Okay, I think I'll have to accept the second one. At least this way my rook is getting in the game. So if h4, probably just ignore it with rook c1. I'm having a pawn on d4 is a weakness rather than a strength, but of course that's not clear yet. Now with the bishop or with the pawn, let's choose the bishop. If I took with the pawn, I was worried about him exchanging and playing rook h4. I can't defend both pawns. Now, does he have better than just exchanging g3 for d4 with rook h3? Then it's a drawn ending, but I could even play a few moves. I'm no longer in lots of trouble. At the same time, it's probably just drawn. It's an interesting one. I don't know whether he wants to exchange a pair of rooks. Yeah, just exchange. Gets closer to the draw. The other option was to try and mate to me. It's much more dynamic when there are two rooks on the board. Now here, if I exchange rooks, what's happening? It doesn't give me the option. That rook's on board, I guess it must be a drawn king or pawn. But I'm not risking anything, I don't think. Oh, it says like famous last words. Okay, that's off for an exchange. I'll be much happier to exchange my e-pawn for one of his queenside, as his 2f pawns do a very good job of stopping. Well, what's happening with the king pawn here? King f3, rook c5, take it, king takes, erase, king g4, king b4, no, king f4, king d4. That looks like a very bad race for me. I don't want to allow that exchange. Here I could consider gambling with rook d8. He takes rook f8. His king is coming in. Now, can I play this more? Do I have a useful move? King d2, king b4. I don't think I'm risking anything, at least. King d2. So I go rook d6. Now he takes on b3. Or I start with king c2 when he goes rook e1. And then I play rook d6. Calculating these endings is always incredibly tricky. Let's try king c2. Rook d6 looked interesting as well. And okay, let's go for it. b5, I think I go rook b6. But maybe I'm succeeding in my exchange here. Another choice to take on f6 and on f7. He'll go check and take on b3. Okay, let's just defend. I want the two connect pass pawns. Rook e5 I can ignore, so you can't ever exchange rooks. So I can even... I wasn't sure king d3 or c3. No, but this wasn't quite right there. Is it just a draw now? What happens if I go forward? Take in b6. Oh, let's try it. I've not calculated. Take f5, take f4, b6, f3, b7, f2. We both queen. But he's not gone for it. Now I'm hoping that my 2 connect passable ones are faster than his 1. And keep pushing. Rook b1. Can I go rook b5? Swap. It's unnecessary, right? I think I've got there. So get rid of that pawn. So there's no any business. And that one too. He's threatening mate, which we can't have. So tied the match. An odd one. I think I was in quite a bit of trouble, but once I got to the ending, it was definitely a drawn endgame, but the structure always meant that if I could achieve that queen side in balance, that was easier for me to go past pawn somewhere. I'm pretty sure my technique there wasn't very good, and that I gave him lots of chances, but it splits and you have to find something. It's going to repeat the same line? Yep. Okay. Let's switch. I went knight c6 last time. This is my typical King's Indian setup, but it's always a bit different with a pawn on c3, as we saw in the last games. I was going to say it's harder for him to, force him to make a concession, but this time he's just chosen to go for the symmetrical structure. At least this time I'll develop some pieces. I'm worried about that pawn going the whole way. Yes, but I'll start with knight f4. So if he takes it, then at least my bishop comes to life on g7. I'm expecting to drop back with bishop f1. When do I exchange queens? Maybe I can and try and... He's going to go bishop e3. I prefer not to. Queen g5 is fun. Knight h3 is a big threat, but he goes g3 and I've just pinned myself. Don't think I've got any brilliant tactics yet. So let's just keep the queens on the board. Very unlikely I'm going to get f5 in here. Instead, I'll look at vague tactics of sacking on g2 at the right time. Go with this queen f3, that's unlikely to happen. He does have a loose rook. So I can take on c4 and play queen b4, which forces queen c3. He's got the bishop pair. Is it worth going for that? Hard position for me to judge. I think his bishops are more important than the damage structure. Okay, let's just take the d file. Even if he wins a pawn by taking f4, I'm not particularly worried, but I don't think he does because I can take on c4 and the b2 pawn is hanging. So I probably want to play. I'd like to take queen b4 immediately, but yeah, the c3. Now, is it time to kick him back with b5? Very double-edged move, but better to play it immediately than think for 30 seconds about it. So obviously you get en passant, but then it should be just equal. Otherwise he retreated, and then I went a6, and it's an interesting structure. I think it's easier for me to expand on the queen side. I can claim that pawn would have been a weakness on a5. You can crack this pawn properly. I'm not winning anything back immediately. But in general, these positions shouldn't be the end of the world. I certainly need to be careful about him going e5 and blocking me out completely. So that his knight feels like it's on a good square on it, c4. So let's make him move it. Or played b3 when he's loosened up with long diagonal. I'm expecting b3 probably, rook a2, e5. But then his somewhat weakened squares. There we go. Hoping for something like yesterday where I'll get this rook and a2 involved in some kingside attack. Still a while away, but in the King's Indian you always have hope for a quick kingside attack. If e5, maybe I'll also play b5 and c6. Just this knight's not going to live on c4. Should I start with b5? I should also take a timeout with h5. Let's take a timeout. I'm not going to get mated now on back rank. Okay, now we'll play b5. Can I take this pawn? He's going to go b1. Then I can take on e5 as well, I think. Okay, grab the pawn on e5. I don't see any nasty discovered. With the bishop, yeah, knight d5, but maybe I could still have gone for that. I don't know whether which was better. This was a safer move. And I'm hoping to use the bishops. Only black can be better. But of course, there's not a lot of material left on the board. Okay, I want to be more ambitious than just taking that knight. So we'll drop back. He's got some back rank issues, which hopefully I don't, although those pieces are looking a bit menacing. This is why I threw in h5 earlier. If it allows me next move, I think I'll go bishop e6 and just make sure. I'll make it just bishop d7 then. I don't think I mind that exchange. His knight then is really offside. Maybe I should have started bishop c5. Oh well. His knight's quite. So I could go bishop c5 now. Then takes on e6 with check though. This is annoying. That's a good move by him. He's got knight 7 check. So I think I have to take the knight. It's becoming much closer to a draw. Seeing if I've got anything else that appeals. Now rook c2 or rook a5 things. Let's try rook c2. I'm still hoping for some cheapos on that rank. Should we try it? Play the check. Play a couple of checks and see what happens. Probably now I just have to come back because I want my king involved in the game. If king e7 now, he's got bishop c4. Okay, that's a4, c4. We'll go to a4. Got f4 in it. Okay. F2. Do I try with a pass pawn? Risky move. Take on G3 would just be a draw. This way I'm hoping my pawn will be a strength. If I exchange, I don't know what was happening. I still don't know what's happening in this position. I get my king involved. Objectively, in a classical game, that pawn h3 might just be a weakness, but I'm hoping it causes enough problems in a... Oh, he lost on time. Yeah, enough problems in a blitz game. That is tricks everywhere. So that one went better. I don't think I really deserved to win. And where's the right game number? I've had 2 whites and 2 blacks. So game number 5. I'll try another e4, but I need to. Okay, let's change to knight c3. And he's gone for the can setup. We have actually had some games on this, where I've been mixing up my move order somewhat. Now, how am I supposed to do this? I can never remember. As an advert, I am writing a book at the moment where I'm recommending this line for white. So I think it's very tricky, but I didn't intend on playing it today. So I can't remember exactly how it's supposed to go. So d4 or e5, both moves are possible. I should just decide on one. Let's go e5. To keep him out of his normal hedgehog structure as well. So here my only claim is I've got a better bishop. And g2 and maybe in an ideal world I'll also go a4, a5 and use the square on b6. I don't think this version is particularly scary for him. Definitely a position that is playable for white. So I think a bishop f4, bishop d6 looks good for him, so we'll retreat. So now bishop d7. Okay, bishop f4 was my idea. What's happening? It just goes queen c8. Yeah, so he's going to get his main problem of these bishops. He's resolved. So now I just have to hope. Can I go knight f1 now? Use the secondary idea in the position. I can, it probably doesn't make so much difference. He's going to take on g2 and then go queen c6, check. And then I'll go, maybe we can exchange and go knight d5. I'll play a waiting move. Yeah, I want my knight to land on b6, of course. But getting it there is not so easy. I moved my bishop because if I took immediately, I was worried about knight d5 attacking my bishop. So if I play knight a4 now, he'll take on g2, probably. I recapture. The question is, then he'll play some annoying c4 move. Yeah, I don't like c4 there. So do I just retreat meekly or do I try queen g4? Let's retreat meekly for now. Not entirely clear what either of us are doing. a slight standoff because of my plan knight a4, and so he wants to keep his knight there. Okay, so he simply exchanges them now. I might as well have my bishop on the long diagonal if I can. He can go f6 now if he wants. I'm hoping it weakens his king a bit. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring away in the background. She's not impressed. Okay, getting a bit tricky now with the pins. Let's just take the knight. Try and play a position where this should never be worse. Okay, he's going for some tricky stuff again. So I want to. So I go queen f3 is. Let's just get out of the way. Queen f3 is the more natural move, but I was worried about c4. I don't really want him to be able to change the structure over here. Okay. b3 is almost a draw offer because I'm allowing rook takes e5. But I want to stop c4 for good. And if he doesn't play rook takes e5, I want to go rook a4 and start attacking. Maybe my bishop will come back to b2. So he's played the exchange. Now, I wouldn't mind exchanging queens as well on principle, but I don't want to give them the open d file. Queen e4, queen e4. I have to take that with the pawn. Now, without any minor pieces, the b6 outpost should be quite irrelevant. If I go b4 now, he takes on c2. I'm sort of losing a pawn. Okay. Again, give my king a bit of luft. I just need to be careful I don't somehow become a bit worse here. Especially as the time is ticking the wrong way. b4 again, take on c2. I should probably stop looking at b4. Yeah, it's at least forces e-pawn to make a decision. If he goes e5, then his pawn on h5 might be a bit vulnerable. So I can check him on the better rank. Okay, I will. I guess his claim is that my queen doesn't actually have that many squares it can go to now. Queen h8, queen f3 is his way of defending. So let's try rook e3 to throw in queen h8. Now, hopefully his rook doesn't have a way into my back rank. I think I'm controlling all the relevant squares. If the times were the other way around, I'd be quite optimistic, but I've got myself too low here. And so it's going to be a bit tricky. Like queen d5, and he's threatening rook d8. So we'll just come back again. My queen isn't actually doing anything here. It's just trying to annoy him a bit. Maybe I can go rook e4 to c4 if he does absolutely nothing. I don't know, do I have a way? So my queen is just getting hit everywhere. There's no reason that I should be better here. And so I draw by threefold. So what does that make it? 3-2 to me? Is that correct? Three whites. And this is my third black. So we're on game 6. Okay, 3-2 to me, I think. That one at least went better than the other openings, probably. I think it was just equal, but I wasn't risking too much. So through again, is he going to repeat the same line? Yeah. I was reasonably happy with my position last time. Even even if he was a bit better objectively. So he changes with c3 last time he took. And let's go a5. I think a5 is the kind of move you play. Solutions. Not entirely sure why. Maybe to stop his plan of a4, a5. He just played. It's also just not that easy to make progress on either side. You've got some sort of standoff. So he does the typical Lopez rerouting. Now I'm never going to get f5 in with his 2 knights there and bishop, so put the rook on e8 instead. Okay, we'll just kick that bishop. Back it goes, I guess. Bishop h4 looks a bit too ambitious. Can I go d5 now? Last time it didn't work so well. There's probably no need to play move. Let's just defend my pawn e5 first. I presume his argument about h6 is now he'll try some h4, h5 to loosen me up. So maybe h6 was not so accurate. I was expecting queen c1. But he's also playing against me going d5. It's too scary. Some sack on g6 when that opens up might be the end for me. But now I'm probably threatening bishop g4 when it's a bit awkward for him to defend the knight. So he stops it. Now I've got no future for this bishop on c8. This is a very slow position for a King's Indian. Far more like some sort of e4, e5 opening. Both of us have our pieces on reasonable squares. Yeah, now he's getting ready to play h4, h5, which I don't like so much. But I don't like h5, bishop h6 either. So I might have to try and get something going in the center, rather than him having an attack for free over here. After h4, I do have a big question. Do I allow h5? Or do I play h5 myself? No, not g5 check. Probably I play h5 myself and hope there's nothing too horrible happening. But yeah, he definitely should be a bit better here. The rule of thumb in these Italians is if you get the bishops to e3 and d3, then white is a bit better. I can't break with d5 yet. So do I go b5? Let's play the weird looking b6. My bishop at the moment on c8 has absolutely no future, so I want to play bishop a6. I don't know if it has any future on a6 either, if he drops back, but at least my rooks are connected now. And with his knight drop back to h2, it's more likely that d5 ideas will become possible. At the moment, I still don't trust it. So bishop c4 I want to play, but b3, I'm being forced backwards. But still, what else? I think I have to. Maybe my super a8 rook will come into a2 later in the game, decisive effect. I didn't play b3. Definitely worried about that. Not really sure he should have been. But he's just saying I don't have a good way of improving my position, which looks perfectly correct. Do I play b5? I'm very worried that my bishop's getting trapped if I do. Okay, let's play that ugly c5. Yes, he's getting closer. Yeah, having to commit something. Do I sack a pawn? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not a very good move. But I didn't want to just get squeezed forever. This way at least I'll have some long-term compensation perhaps with my... Oh, e5 is a bit painful. So how am I doing with that? b5, and hope my bishop's not getting trapped. And that's... So it's going to go knight d2 next. And that bishop is trapped, but not so much I can do about that one. If he's just exchanging, that's okay, but knight d2 and b3 is going to be a problem. So I need a square. I don't see how I'm getting the square. So I need a trick on the e-file. Okay, so let's go queen e7. If b3, I'll take on d5. Take on e1, and rather than being a piece down, at least it's unclear. So it's gone for it. Now, with the bishop or with the knight, who knows? I take the bishop, swap. At least I don't have to take on d5, but I do want to. Let's open that while I'm figuring it out. Okay, let's take with the knight. I would have preferred Bell to take on d5 with the knight and come in, but I was worried about queen f3 and my rook was hanging. Now I'm fairly sure I'm lost. That move I just played because it's random. At least pinning his knight. Actually, do I have some... If queen f3 now, can I play this? Threatening mate on h1. Do I have a way out? I said that this rook was going to come into the game with decisive effect. My magic rook's on a8. Never move a rook from a8. It's going to come to a2 or a1 and finish the game. This is ridiculous if it works, but I don't see a defense for him. I've been extremely fortunate there. Whew. Yeah, that, again, the King's Indian counterplay that you never deserve, but it's your compensation for playing opening where you're a bit passive. Computers hate. Nils is a gentleman and allows the pretty mate to finish. So thank you, Nils. So now I believe it is 4-2. So I just need a draw. And I have white, but as we've seen, having white has not been still not guaranteed me equality out of the opening. So which line shall I play? Let's play d4. I think he probably predicts what line I'm playing. And okay, let's try and get some solid position. So black has the bishop pair, and white has this Maroczy structure. Where if I'm going f4? I don't think so. Okay. I'm happy to play the two knights versus two bishops when I've got a big outpost on d5. This queen takes looks very odd, but I think the point normally isn't to play some quick f5, is to play the queen to c6. Yeah, he doesn't allow the bishops versus knight. Does he have to play the very risky queen h6 now? because if he exchanges bishops on e7, he's just going to be worse. Now, I do only need a draw, so I probably shouldn't be considering castle queenside. I don't see quite how it's working. If I take on e5, d, queen takes, queen e6 as well. So let's just retreat. If bishop e7, queen g6 is a bit annoying. So he's preparing bishop f5. Okay. c5. On principle, it's of course good to undermine these pawns, but more concretely, I want the a4 square for my queen. So bishop f5. Yeah. Do I play the check? c6 is quite a good square for his bishop. Can I go to b4 instead? Let's see. I could have gone queen a4 check, bishop d7, queen b4, but then I thought his bishop's quite good on c6. Here, I just need enough time to castle. And I'll be very comfortable. Queen c7, perhaps, attacking the pawn and defending the one on e5. Yeah. Now rook c1 is what I wanted to play. dc. Bishop takes rook c8. It's an annoying pin. So I don't want to take on d6. Then he develops with tempo. Maybe I can, what happens if I now play the check? Is this ridiculous? It might well be ridiculous. Now this queen is no longer covering over on f7. So bishop c6, I have a choice. I can just play check, queen f7, swap, and take on d6. And I'm certainly not better. Wow, castle queenside. Okay, maybe it's a good move. Okay, let's just castle. 2. After all, the queen's coming off, then he wants his king over on closer to the center. And probably, maybe he's not even going to exchange queens now. Yeah. I've had to take on d6 anyway. No, I didn't have to, but I couldn't see a good way of developing otherwise. Now is e4 a threat? Knight d4, take on h2. Sort of, but take on c6. That's going to be a really hot one to grab. His king is going to be vulnerable. So I want to do something with this now on f3. So if he plays rook f8, for instance, then probably I go knight d2 and try and jump into c4 or e4. Oh, I still hit my queen. And g5. So he's preparing probably to play h5 anyway. And trying to take away squares from my queen. Okay. Definitely a sharp position. Well, let's continue my plan. h5, where should I go with the queen? Maybe just back to e2. It's a double-edged position. As we go d4 now, I don't have knight d4. If I take it, then h5 might be good. Okay, let's stop h5. And defend my pawn h2 in the process. If I can exchange off either bishop, then I'll be happy. As he offers the exchange, but I don't want to then have the open g5. So if he plays bishop takes e3, I'm very happy. So instead we'll have some kind of standoff again, I imagine. Do I play g3? The problem with it is I'm not really trying to take the bishop yet. G takes and he attacks my queen. I might be throwing bishop b6 and taking it, but that's very risky with such a vulnerable king. Probably I'm just going to try and move my rooks, maybe rook c3, rook c1. Hope that at some point the bishop's hanging. Both of us are probably just going to ignore it for a bit surprised by that choice by him. So now my pieces feel like they're all very stable. So I don't take on c, I'll take on f2. If I take on c6, probably he's still taking on. Oh no, okay, I'll take on c6. If he took an f2, I had queen takes f8 check. Only 10 seconds is not really enough time to play this position. Both of us have ridiculously weak kings. So he's going after my pawn. My plan really should be just pushing my h pawn. I don't know if I should be taking so much time to defend my own pawn. But it gives me a moment to rest by h4 as my move. Still hoping that he has the weaker of the two kings. There's no reason for me to exchange queens. I don't know what's happening. Still don't know what's happening. Too many pins. Queens off the board. That wasn't what I wanted to do, but okay, that should be it. I wonder if rook takes g3 was a mouse slip, whether it meant rook f3 check. I guess it should still be drawn, but anything.
Okay, congratulations.
Really. Thanks. That's a stressful match.
Yes, you played really well with black, maybe, no, right? With, I think.
Yeah, I was much happy with black again. My King's Indian came good. Okay, I was very lucky to have this shot with rook a1 and mate on h1.
Yes.
It's pretty. So I hadn't seen it coming. So
okay. Okay, congratulations, and you will play the final the Saturday. Okay.
Yep, I look forward to that. Thanks, Nils, for a fun match. And
okay,
I was lucky this time.
Thanks a lot.
I'm sure he'll be back next time. See you guys on Saturday.
Right.